Before I begin, I want you to do something for me, please. Put your hands on your lap and close your eyes for a moment. I am going to ask you one simple question. Think about the person you always call when life becomes difficult. The person who somehow knows when something is wrong, even before you say a word. Now ask yourself this. When was the last time you asked that person if they were truly okay? Not because they looked sad, but because you cared enough to ask. Sometimes the people who care for us are the ones we forget to check on. Because emotional intelligence is not only about understanding yourself, it is also about noticing what other people are not saying. Sometimes silence is the loudest cry for help. And sometimes the strongest people are the ones who quietly need someone to notice them. Think about the person who always says, "I'm fine." Sometimes they are not fine at all. They may be carrying pain, fear, or disappointment that nobody can see. And that is why paying attention matters. So the next time someone tells you they are fine, listen a little deeper. Look at their eyes. Notice their silence. Sometimes they are not asking you to solve their problems. They simply want to know that someone sees them. And remember, you do not always need the perfect words. Sometimes, just sitting beside someone, listening without judging, can mean more than any advice. Your presence can tell them, you don't have to carry this alone. So today, I want you to do something simple. Check on someone you love. Ask them how they are, and then listen. Not just to their words, but to what their heart may be trying to say. You never know what someone is going through behind a smile. One kind question can open a door they have been afraid to open. One moment of listening can remind someone that they are not alone. Maybe someone in your life is silently struggling right now. Maybe they smile, they work, they laugh, and they tell everyone they are fine. But deep inside, they are hoping someone will simply stop and ask, "Are you really okay?" And if that person is you, please remember this. You do not always have to be strong. You do not have to pretend that everything is okay. It is perfectly human to feel tired, hurt, or lost. You deserve someone who will listen. And for someone else, you might be the person they need today. You might be the person who notices the change in their voice, the sadness behind their smile, or the silence they cannot explain. Do not ignore those little signs. Sometimes we notice the signs but tell ourselves maybe they just need some space, and sometimes that little delay is exactly what keeps someone suffering alone. If you care about them, reach out. Even a simple message can mean everything. That is what emotional intelligence really means. It is not just knowing your own emotions. It is having enough compassion to recognize what someone else may be feeling, even when they cannot find the words to explain it. When you develop emotional intelligence, you begin to listen differently. You stop listening only to the words people speak, and you start listening to the feelings behind those words. Sometimes, that is where the truth is hiding. The people around you may not always tell you when they are hurting. That is why emotional intelligence matters. Pay attention to the little changes. Sometimes, the person who needs your kindness most will never have the courage to ask for it. Never underestimate what a small act of kindness can do. A phone call, a kind word, or simply sitting beside someone can change the way they feel about their darkest day. You may never know how much your presence meant to them. Years from now, someone may not remember the advice you gave them, but they may remember that you noticed them when everyone else looked away. They may remember that you listened, that you cared, and that for one moment, they did not feel alone. So do not wait for someone to tell you they are hurting. Pay attention, listen, ask the difficult question, and when someone finally opens their heart to you, do not make them regret trusting you. Sometimes kindness is the beginning of healing. You do not need to change the whole world to make a difference. Start with one person, one conversation, one moment of genuine attention, because sometimes the smallest act of compassion can become the reason someone finds the strength to keep going. Before you leave today, remember this. People may forget what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. So be kind, be present, and when someone needs to be heard, be the person who stays. That is emotional intelligence. So before you go, think about one person in your life. Someone you have not checked on in a while. Send them a message today. You may never know how much they needed to hear from you. Emotional intelligence is a message I will always believe in, because the way we treat people can leave a mark on their lives. This is your sister, Vanessa, and your small madam. Thank you so much for your attention. Until we meet again, bye-bye.